The air was thick with tension on July 20th, 1944, at the Wolf's Lair in East Prussia. It was a day that would dare to alter the course of history. Colonel Claus von Stauffenberg, a man of steely resolve and deep conviction, entered a dimly lit conference room. Among the gathered military leaders stood Adolf Hitler himself, the architect of unimaginable horrors across Europe. This was no ordinary meeting. Hidden beneath the mundane facade was a plot woven from strands of defiance and desperation. As the meeting droned on, Stauffenberg calmly set his briefcase down, careful to place it near the Führer. Inside was not the typical assortment of documents and pencils, but something far more sinister: a bomb. This meticulously planned act was the climax of a clandestine operation, years in the making, to rid the world of Hitler's tyrannical grip. The room was filled with maps and the monotonous hum of military discourse, but Stauffenberg's mind was elsewhere. His thoughts raced with the weight of his mission and the hopes of those who had secretly supported the resistance. The clock was ticking, both literally and metaphorically. Each second that passed was a heartbeat closer to what could be a new dawn or a swift end. Yet in this calculated moment of defiance, one small change would alter everything. A briefcase nudged slightly by an unsuspecting officer. It seemed innocuous, but this movement shifted the fate of millions. The bomb detonated at 12:42 p.m., shattering the room and sending shockwaves both literally and throughout the Third Reich's hierarchy. 4 men would lose their lives, but Hitler, miraculously, survived with minor injuries. The world held its breath as the news broke. What was meant to be a decisive strike against evil turned into a desperate scramble for the conspirators, who now faced the full wrath of a regime they had dared to defy. The July 20th plot was a bold testament to courage in the face of tyranny, even as it fell short of its ultimate goal. In the grim shadow of failure, we rewind to an earlier time in 1943, when a group of German military officers first dared to dream of a world without Adolf Hitler. At the heart of this nascent conspiracy were Major General Henning von Tresckow and Colonel Claus von Stauffenberg, 2 men bound by their growing disillusionment with the Nazi regime. The horrors perpetuated by their own government weighed heavily on their consciences, as did the bleak realities of a war spiraling out of control. Von Tresckow, stationed on the Eastern Front, witnessed firsthand the catastrophic failures of the German military strategy. Each defeat was not just a strategic blunder, but a moral failing, a burden he could no longer bear. He knew that as long as Hitler remained in power, any hope for Germany's future was bleak. Across the lines of command, Colonel Stauffenberg, a charismatic and determined officer, shared von Tresckow's sentiments. Wounded in North Africa, Stauffenberg returned to Germany with a newfound vigor and a readiness to act. Together they forged the core of what would become an intricate plot to overthrow the dictator. It was a bold vision: assassinate Hitler, dismantle the Nazi apparatus, and negotiate peace with the Allies. Yet it was fraught with peril, requiring not just precision, but a network of like-minded individuals willing to risk everything. As 1943 progressed, the conspirators expanded their circle, recruiting key figures within the Wehrmacht. They meticulously planned, knowing that a single misstep could mean their end. This cabal of conspirators operated in the shadows, under the constant threat of discovery by the Gestapo. Each meeting, each whispered conversation was a dance on the razor's edge. Yet for von Tresckow and Stauffenberg, the stakes were clear. The salvation of their homeland was worth any risk, any sacrifice. They were poised to take a stand, yet the path ahead was fraught with uncertainty and danger. By July 1944, the conspirators had reached a critical juncture. They had meticulously crafted Operation Valkyrie, a plan audacious in its simplicity and breathtaking in its ambition. The idea was to utilize the reserve army, ostensibly a force to maintain order during civil unrest, to seize control of the German government once Adolf Hitler was dead. It was a masterstroke. Take the tools of repression and turn them against their master. Yet the devil was in the execution. The weeks leading up to July were a whirlwind of clandestine meetings and tense strategizing. Each participant knew the stakes. One wrong move, one loose word, and their aspirations would crumble, with them likely to follow. Their resolve steeled, They chose July 15th as the day for their initial attempt. Claus von Stauffenberg, a man whose war injuries had not diminished his courage, was to carry out the assassination personally. He was to attend a meeting at the Wolf's Lair, Hitler's Eastern Front military headquarters, with a briefcase bomb in tow. Yet, as with the best-laid plans, fate had other ideas. The meeting's location was abruptly changed, and with it, the configuration of those present. The new setting made it impossible for Stauffenberg to position the bomb as effectively as needed. Moreover, key targets were absent, diminishing the potential impact even if the bomb succeeded. In the face of these unforeseen shifts, Stauffenberg was forced to abort the attempt. It was a bitter pill to swallow, months of planning thwarted by a twist of logistics. But the conspirators were nothing if not resilient. They retreated, recalibrated, and prepared for another chance. The clock was ticking, and with each passing day, the risk of exposure loomed larger. The tension was palpable, and yet buried within was a flicker of hope. They knew, despite the setback, that victory demanded persistence. They had stumbled, but they were not defeated. Not yet. On July 20, 1944, the conspirators seized what they believed was their fleeting moment. Inside the Wolf's Lair, Colonel Claus von Stauffenberg placed the bomb beneath the heavy wooden table and exited under the pretext of a phone call. Minutes later, the room erupted as the device detonated. Chaos ensued, but in the haze of smoke and debris, an unsettling truth emerged. Adolf Hitler had survived. The solid oak table leg had inadvertently shielded him, leaving him with only minor injuries. The plot's unraveling was as swift as the explosion had been deafening. Within hours, loyalist forces, alerted by Hitler's miraculous survival, reasserted control. The conspirators' plan to seize power in Berlin faltered almost immediately. Communication lines, disrupted by power struggles, further hampered their efforts. By evening, the coup's fate was sealed. Stauffenberg, attempting a desperate rally, was arrested at the Bendler block, his defiance extinguished by a firing squad before the night was out. The repercussions spread like wildfire. Over 7,000 people were arrested, a ruthless purge extending its tendrils through the Wehrmacht and beyond, ensnaring anyone suspected of complicity. The Gestapo, relentless in its pursuit, left no stone unturned. High-ranking officers, esteemed generals, and unsuspecting civilians were caught in the dragnet. Trials, if they could be called that, were swift and brutal, leading to countless executions. The consequences of failure permeated every layer of German society, a grim testament to the regime's iron grip. Yet amidst the ashes of the failed coup, a stark realization took root. The audacity to challenge Hitler, however thwarted, revealed fissures within the Nazi stronghold. It was a testament to the enduring spirit of resistance, even in the shadow of despair. The legacy of the July 20th plot is etched not in its immediate failure, but in the enduring impact it has had on the consciousness of a nation. Although the assassination attempt on Adolf Hitler ultimately failed, the courage displayed by the conspirators became a powerful symbol of resistance. It was a rare glimpse into the heart of a Germany that did not wholly align with the Nazi nightmare. These men and women, branded as traitors by the regime, would later be recognized as heroes who dared to dream of a different future. In the immediate aftermath, the Nazi regime's response was merciless. The crackdown was designed not just to punish, but to terrify. Yet what the regime failed to extinguish was the spirit of defiance that the conspirators embodied. Over time, their sacrifice came to inspire future generations, serving as a reminder that even in the darkest times, there were those willing to stand against tyranny. In post-war Germany, the conspirators' actions were reassessed. They were no longer seen as traitors, but as patriots. Streets and schools now bear their names, and their legacy is a cornerstone of Germany's commitment to democracy and human rights. The July 20th plot serves as a solemn reminder of the cost of complacency and the power of courage. It is a narrative of hope interwoven with tragedy, a tale that teaches us that even in the face of overwhelming evil, there is room for valor. The reverberations of that July day in 1944 continue to echo, inspiring those who hear the call to resist oppression wherever it arises. The conspirators may have failed in their immediate objective, but in a broader sense, they succeeded in igniting a flame of resistance that still burns brightly today.